Well, hey, Hope family, I'm so excited to introduce you to a familiar face both at Church of Hope and here in Ocala, Mayor Kent Guinn. Mayor Guinn, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. How are you?
It's good to see you.
Good.
So how long have you been the mayor?
So I've been the mayor for about 8.5 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah. So this is my 5th term. So they're 2-year terms. So it's my 5th one.
Wow.
So
And recently you made the decision to run for Congress.
correct.
Can you walk us through that decision?
Yeah. Probably it was October. My wife was up in North Carolina, and I spent a lot of time like getting up every morning and reading my Bible and just figuring out what do I want to do. And I know I talked to Congressman Yoho for a while about what are you going to do? You're going to not run in 20 or what your plans? And he wasn't really telling me, and he said I'll know in January. Well, January is kind of too late, and so I had made that decision back before I ran. I said, if I run, and then he stays in office, then I'll be the mayor for the next 2 years. That'll be fine. If I don't run and then he stays, then what?
Yeah.
I could have been served another 2 years. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of uncertain what I wanted to do. And then I talked to him and Thanksgiving, and he goes, "I'm not running."
Wow.
It's like, okay. And so I said, well, I'm running. And that was that, and I had a consultant call me. They had actually called me to ask about somebody else that they were thinking about asking to run. And I said, well, I don't think that person would run. I said, but I'm interested. And so we started a discussion with this consultant who I didn't know. I knew someone that worked for him, but I didn't know him. And we started along, and it was a process.
Yeah.
And I thought some doors that were going to open were going to open, and they didn't. But we moved forward, and was going to change consultants in the middle of it.
Okay.
And decided not to, and stayed with that one. And we got to April 15th, and that was the day you have to resign to run. And what resign to run means is my mayor's term and congressional term overlap, and so the law says you have to resign from this office to run for another office.
Okay.
But what I could have done was I could have resigned, but not resignation wouldn't have been effective until I would have gotten sworn into my other office, or until my successor were sworn into this office, which I was going to choose the date of January 7th of 21. So I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I wrote these two things down: resign to run, or I'm withdrawing from the race. And it was just, I was just like worried, sick about it. For like a month. Like, what should I do? What should I do? And God was pulling me this way. I'm letting God down. I'm not doing His will. I'm letting people down that, supported me. How can I do this? And then I was here on April 15th. It was about 20 minutes till 5, and which is when that's got to be filed, one way or another. And I said, God said, you need to pray about this. And so I just got down, sat down, right here on my knees,
Right here,
right in this chair I'm at, and prayed. And I said, God, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I said, so whatever you want me to do, you're going to have to make it really obvious. And so I got up, and about 10 seconds later, this man called me that I had written these notes right below it. His sister-in-law was suffering from, she was in intensive care with the COVID-19, with the virus, and there's a plasma treatment that can be done but it can only be done by someone that's had it. And he called me. He said, Mary said, I need your help. He had called me before, but I hadn't heard from him. But he called me because I need your help. Now we're, really getting down to, she's going to be transferred ICU and all that. And I went, okay, I know exactly what you want me to do. I need to be here dealing with, these things. And so about 2 days later, another girl called me and she goes, there was something that happened in the Senate that didn't pass. That was a bill that's, and I can't say yet what it is, but involves mothers and babies. She goes, I want you to do a local ordinance on it. And then, when session turns around, next year, they'll be forced to do it because there'll already be a local ordinance, for this, which I've done before. So it's going to be very, very controversial, and it's going to take a lot of my time. And there's no way I could have been running for Congress and done that.
Yeah.
And it's, it needs to be done because by the time I get it done, bills will be, going on and committees will be meeting in, Tallahassee. So this needs to be done now.
Absolutely.
So I'll spend a lot of time doing it. So it was just real obvious, you need to be here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that thing where you talk about, I was thinking about this the other day, about mining for diamonds, in your back.
Yeah.
And the guy goes out and looks for diamonds, all over the place, and so I think he sells his property or something like that.
Yep.
Whoever buys the property finds the diamonds right in his backyard. What he was looking for was right there. So that's somewhat similar.
Absolutely. And that's an incredible illustration, too, just how you're identifying the story of that man who he sold everything he had to go search somewhere else for diamonds, and there was in his own backyard.
Right.
And so how you're attributing at Thanksgiving, you declared you were going after this dream that you knew God called you to pursue at that time.
I had no doubt.
Yeah. And then no one could have anticipated COVID-19 hitting at all.
No.
But I love how you unpacked for us that on April 15th, right here, you got on your knees, you talked to God, and you heard Him shift His plans for your life, and you adjusted accordingly. You saw the diamonds here in your own backyard, so to speak. So if someone else was struggling, maybe they're wrestling with God's calling them in a different direction, or the plans for their life are changing, how would you encourage them to talk to God, to open His Word, to take some of the steps that you took?
Well, like I said earlier, it's just, you just need to stay in the Word and, keep this Bible. Don't just keep it here for looks. Actually read it. One of these things that I pulled these little things out here. It says God's promises. And I read these the day of when I was getting elected. Yeah. Because I was really nervous, and I just spent the whole day reading these and watching the absentee ballots come in. It talks about His presence, my daily needs, the Lord's help, an answer to prayer, the guidance I need, Father's love, the forgiveness of sin, my eternal security, promises of God, and has all these verses. I read these from time to time just to remind me, and of God's promises. But I would tell you to talk to other people, and just be aware. Just pay attention to what's around you, and God will speak to you. It might be through a billboard you might see. It might be from a book that you might pick up. Here's a book here. I'll tell you real quick. This is a guy. This is a great book. I Love Capitalism. And it's from a guy named Guinn, who I happened to meet at a breakfast one time in New York. And he's the co-founder of Home Depot, a very humble guy. And he spends the first 20 minutes of his day studying his Bible.
Wow. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. So, I would tell you, stay in the Word, watch, videos, get on, just search for and God will lead you to the message He wants to do. One of the things I wrote to Mark is, T.D. Jakes, I love, him. And one of the things that, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I sent it to you.
Yeah, he sent it, and it helped with, as you were wrestling through God calling you to go run for Congress, and then to stay here and be mayor, and that in between.
Yeah, and it was about surrendering, and it was given the example of an eagle, throwing his eaglet
Yeah.
out of the nest, and flapping his wings, and and then, but you have to do that to survive and to grow, and it may seem scary, and it may seem like, what am I going to do? I mean, I've got no support. I've got, how can I do this? But God will show up. You just have to trust Him.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, that's what I would tell people: just complete and utter trust in God. I mean, when I ran for city council in '97, and that I lost that election and got elected in '99. I was at First Baptist Church, and it was getting time to file, and I told God, I said, I've got to either do this or not do this. I need you to tell me, what do I need to do? Sat on the second row of church, and the message that day was to step out in faith.
Wow.
Because I said, I don't know how to run a race. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to call. I don't know anything. The council elections are different in '97 than they are now. But the message was just step out in faith, trust Him.
Yeah.
And I lost that race. And I said, God, you wanted me to run, and now I lost. And it was well, I didn't tell you would win. I just wanted you to trust me and run. And
Wow.
so, and then fast forward 21 years later, I've never lost an election, and I've been in office and unopposed during council times all this time. So He's watched over me and guided me, and I would to answer your question, and God will do that for anyone, if you trust Him.
Absolutely.
And stay in the Word, and just be attentive, like I said, and listen to other people, that you trust.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I know I'm inspired and encouraged too. When we seek God first, as you have, and you ask Him, hey, speak to me, I think then we just have to listen. As I've heard you say, it might be through a book, a person, a song, a message you see online.
Well, and you mentioned songs. So, one of the things, I grew up as a Southern Baptist, I was adopted. So I was 4 months old when I was adopted. And I guarantee you, if I was adopted on a Wednesday and that Sunday, well, probably that Sunday night I would have been in, or that Wednesday night I would have been in church at my house. But definitely, my mother, I'm sure, took me to church on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with all these old hymns and stuff like that. And one of the, before the 15th, when I was describing earlier, I mean, I was starting to, songs would come to mind early in the morning, 3 in the morning, and one of them was Trust and Obey.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was God's message. It's trust me and obey what I'm telling you to do. What that was, I didn't know, right then. And there's another one, A Closer Walk with Thee. A great song, him. And, those two just kept popping in my mind. And, that 15th, during that day, I went out there and sat out in front of Citizen Circle and just looked at all the things that, we had accomplished or we had done.
Yeah.
The hotel, the parking garage, and,
A lot.
Yeah, it's what else do you want me to do? I mean, is this what, you want me to do, or what should I do?
Yeah.
And then came back in here and, made that decision.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Mayor Guinn, thank you for sharing how you're seeking God, how you're listening, how He speaks to you. But also thank you for your service to our community. I know myself and so many here in Ocala really want to say thank you for choosing to stay, to listen to God and make a difference right here.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.